So, following the emotionally charged conclusion of Avengers Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe faced one of its biggest challenges moving forward after the loss of Iron Man. Spider Man Far From Home became the first MCU film to explore that new reality, placing Peter Parker at the center of a world still grieving the events of the Infinity Saga. Now, granted, that's already a really good epilogue. Spider Man Far From Home was supposed to set the tone as like an epilogue to everything that came before. And I was okay with this decision because I was like, you know what? I would want the next big MCU movie after something like Endgame to be Spider Man, right? Like, it just makes so much sense. Especially since they were going to be using Spider Man more often because now he's the new big character. So, and again, John Watts came back for Far From Home. He expanded Spider Man beyond the streets of Queens and asked the question every young hero eventually faces: who are you when you're expected to replace a legend? Really don't like that idea that he was supposed to be like Iron Man's replacement. Again, the whole Spider-Man Iron Man thing is one of my least favorite things in the MCU. Not their relationship, but the dynamic as a whole. I don't mind Peter and Tony having a relationship, even though it seems like in the comics, he's not too fond of Tony. He seems to like Cap more than Tony, but for some reason they made it, that's the other way. But and that globe-trotting adventure, emotional character growth to one of Spider-Man's most iconic villains, Far From Home became a pretty awesome continuation of Tom Holland's journey, while setting the stage for everything that followed. Which Far From Home has that unfortunate sequel decision of: are we going to make this a better sequel, or are we going to make this a big old setup for the next thing? And Far From Home kind of has both, except it's not better than Homecoming, but the action's a lot cool. But we'll get into that. So, only months after the events of Endgame, Peter Parker is still mourning the death of Tony Stark. Wanting a break from superhero responsibilities, Peter just embarked on a high school trip across Europe with his classmates. His only goal is simple: just enjoy the vacation, finally get with MJ, and let her know how he feels. Those plans they all fall apart pretty soon once Nick Fury recruits Peter to investigate some mysterious creatures attacking cities across Europe. Joining the fight is a mysterious new hero named Quentin Beck, who claims to come from another Earth within the multiverse. So the multiverse concept kind of was brought up here, but I didn't think they were actually going to build on it at the time. I thought it was just like a joke because, Mysterio lies. He lies and tries to make himself the hero because he's Mysterio. And then you find out you're a dick. You know what I mean? But I thought the multiverse thing was kind of a joke. But nope, they really leaned into it after this. And calling himself Mysterio, Beck appears to be everything the world needs: a powerful, experienced superhero capable of protecting humanity. Now, still struggling with that grief and self doubt, Peter actually starts trusting Beck as like a new mentor and even hands over the glasses to Mysterio. One of the craziest sequences in the MCU. One of the most well crafted tricks played on a hero in the MCU. And it's not even so much that Peter's dumb, Mysterio's just that good at manipulating the situation. And plus, Peter had no reason to think of who he was. Now, here is something that's going to get into, but everything is not as it seems because Peter soon discovers that Beck is not a hero at all. Instead, he is another disgruntled Tony Stark employee using advanced holographic drones to create elaborate illusions and manipulate the world into believing he's Earth's greatest hero. With reality itself becoming impossible to trust, Peter must overcome his insecurities to stop Mysterio before millions are deceived. Cool plot for Spider Man. We finally got Mysterio after so long. I wanted Mysterio for years. I 100% stand by Mysterio is also one of the best MCU villains. One of my big issues is that he's just another Tony Stark problem. So, Vulture and Mysterio are both affected by Tony Stark. So even though it's Spider Man, Iron Man still has some essence along the way. And I just really wish Beck was someone just regular Mysterio, right? I didn't need him to be connected to Tony Stark. I didn't need that. It was cool the first time. Now I will say the reveal this time was really awesome. I do love the fact that like he had got some people from previous MCU movies and they're all in on this big elaborate plan to kind of debunk Tony's legacy, which is such a good idea. Now, I'm gonna get into another thing later, but I will say Mysterio stands by as one of the best MCU villains. And the only reason why he is because of one thing. Now, Tom Holland's continued growth. I will say that his whole growth as Spider-Man was definitely going to represent this turning point for him. For much of Homecoming, Peter wanted to become an Avenger, but now he's learning what it means to stand on his own. And that's where Spider-Man finally starts to thrive. He's grieving, he's overwhelmed by expectations, and he's constantly compared to Iron Man, which again, dumb, hate it. But rather than trying to become the next Tony Stark, Peter slowly realizes that the world doesn't need another Iron Man; it needs Spider-Man. And that realization becomes the emotional heart of the film. And I loved that he realizes he's Spider-Man, he's not Iron Man. And after that, it's pretty much over. I mean, besides the whole he's making a new suit with the technology, and Happy's looking at him, he starts playing the old music, and it's like, I get it, but also like we didn't need him to have another Iron Man homage. Like I didn't care for that. And then going into Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, it is one of the most charismatic, most well crafted, malignant performances I've ever seen in the MCU. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is my one of my dudes. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Again, another great actor to a great villain because it's just incredible. Now, initially, he's kind of charming, supportive, and seemingly heroic, and he earns the audience's trust and Peter's trust. But the problem is, if you're a big Spider-Man fan, you know who he is. So you're just kind of like, we're just waiting for the big reveal that he's a dick, and it'll come eventually. Once his true motives are revealed, he transforms into one of Spider-Man's most psychologically dangerous enemies. Unlike villains who rely on brute strength, Mysterio weaponizes deception. His ability to manipulate perception creates some of the most visually creative sequences in Spider-Man movie history, and that is it is so there. Like he just, I love my favorite scene in Far From Home is like his little mind perception thing, and Peter's just going through the emotions during this whole thing. It is one of the coolest sequences. Then he pulls him out of it just to pretend that Fury got him, just to fake him out again to get him hit by a train. Like that whole little like 5 6 minute sequence is just so damn cool. And they have that cool comic book thing where he pulls the helmet off and it zooms in. It's like that's straight out of a cover, I'm pretty sure. So that's like one of the coolest things. Like Far From Home has so much visual fun that it's okay to just like some of the annoying stuff can go away. But yeah, the whole dynamic between Peter and Mysterio is so good. It is just without a question one of the greatest achievements of finally bringing Mysterio to life. It is so awesome. And even that's one little section where it's like Peter, maybe Tony will still be alive, and then he crawls out of the grave and like the skull. It's like, bruh, that is supposed to reflect the grief of Tony being dead, but it's not really Peter's fault. But it still works. It still works. Now, I'm gonna throw out where my issue comes in with Mysterio, and it's not Mysterio himself. It's the fact that the plot conveniently had to write out the spider sense for everything to work. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, the Peter tingle. It's like, oh, the Peter tingle isn't working right now. Why? Who gives a damn? Just watch the movie. It's like, yeah, but no. Like, why isn't it working? Because he would have he would have picked up on the fact that Mysterio was a problem early on, which is why they did it. But also because remember, this is the same guy who in the next movie, his spider sense picked up Goblin before he even came out. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like, bruh, what's wrong with him? And it's just not elaborated on. It's not even explained. It just starts to work again when we need it to, for the sake of the ending. Now, again, Spider-Man: Far From Home is not bad. I don't think it's a bad movie. I do think it's actually cool, but the writing in Far From Home is really it can be dumb at times, even to the point where the whole scene on the bus where he almost pretty much kills people with the Edith glasses, and he has to like get. It's funny, but it's dumb. It's a really dumb sequence because he just starts doing stuff with the Edith glasses just off of the strength of just doing it, and it's insane. Like it's really dumb. And I do think one of my other issues is the fact that like he's really not Spider Man most of the film. Like if you really go through the movie, him being Spider-Man doesn't happen until like a good hour in, because there's a deleted scene where he does some Spider-Man stuff at the beginning, which I think should have made it into the film, but it doesn't. So, you know, these things is kind of like there. Now, I will get into something that I just like a little side piece on Mysterio. That is not really Mysterio. It's just the plot convenience of the Spider Sense not working. It does make the movie work and it makes the movie seem cool, but when the Spider Sense is just magically not working because the plot needs it to, it's kind of annoying. It is kind of annoying. And now we get into this one dynamic that I actually like more here than I would have otherwise liked before, which was the Peter and MJ romance. I think their romance in this movie and the kind of work up to it is so much better done. Like in the first movie, you don't get the impression that they like each other. In fact, he doesn't like her. He likes Liz Allen. But there's some hints there that maybe she's into him and it's just not being said out loud quite yet. And then you get into the point that, oh, okay, he does like her. In this one, just out of nowhere, he just has all these feelings for MJ that we didn't know existed. And we kind of already have the impression she might like him just based off of interactions, but then also the other kid who's there and he's just like, oh yeah, I like MJ too. And I was like, yeah, we can just wipe him up, get him up out of here. And then like all that stuff. It was just kind of unnecessary. Like if you wanted them to be together, you didn't have to throw in this random kid who liked her, who was gonna like try to embarrass Peter. It ultimately doesn't work because she's not stupid. But even still, like in they have a, it's an awkward conversation every now and then. And I also like the fact that she's not dumb and she does just straight up know he's Spider Man. Like I was just like, it's like okay, she figures it out. She's actually smart because she's on the smart kids team and all that stuff and this, that, and the third. So like she figures out that he's Spider Man, and I like that. She knows it. She's not dumb. We don't have to play the whole he's hiding the identity from her. She just knows he's Spider Man, and it's all for the better. It's all for the better. And the fact that my man Ned also got a shorty in his joint for a few seconds, and then they're not together, but he definitely had a situationship while they were in Europe, which is crazy because like yeah, like I'm okay with the chemistry between MJ and Peter in this movie, and I'm okay with the development of actually ending the movie together. I'm actually okay with that. That's just me though. And like I said, after all this time, Far From Home, unfortunately, had that issue of setting up what was to come to be the best of the MCU Spider-Man movies so far, and it also had to work on having a plot work with getting out some of the conveniences, and it just kind of like comes together really well if you don't think too hard, and it does get overshadowed by No Way Home, and it's still a good Spider-Man movie. I like the development, the inventive like action, because that whole sequence on the bridge, bruh. I was in the movie theater like, yo, this is fire, bro. Like this is so tough. Like you can't pay me no amount of money to not like this action sequence on the bridge because it is just it's so good. And they get home and the movie just ends, and it's like this is okay ending, not the best, but then the mid credit scene happens, and then it's like, bruh, this man set up Peter so bad, and everyone in the theater was like, "Yo!" Like we all snapped when we first saw that joint, right? Like we all remember that, and I just remember thinking to myself, "How do they get him out of this one? How do they get him out of this one?" That's all I could think about. Not waiting for years to find out when, and it was a very awesome end to a like it was a very awesome ending. I could say that. Like it definitely had me excited. So for me, it was like it was that story of Peter's grief and his identity, and then growing beyond that expectation. And Tom matures as Peter, and Peter's a little more mature in this one. Jake Gyllenhaal delivers that really great performance as Mysterio. And John Watts, again, does a great job directing the movie. Most importantly, the movie teaches Peter that greatness isn't about replacing Iron Man. It was about becoming the best version of Spider Man. And by the time the credits roll, I do feel like he took the necessary real steps toward becoming that independent hero. So it definitely works for me. I just, like I said, the few convenient things that needed to happen that took place, and some things just not being explained. But all in all, I still think Far From Home is pretty solid. So let me know you guys feel down below. Like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.